Good morning from Coffee with Casey. My name is Billy Samson. I'm here at Samson Properties, International Headquarters in Chantilly, Virginia. I'm here with Billy Samson, and Coffee with Casey is something we do once a month to relax, get everybody up to date on what's been going on in the last month. There's been a ton going on. Spring is in full force and effect. A lot of things have been going on, actually, since we last met. I had this birthday, right? So I turned 60 years old. Well, I'm the last person you want to be around on his birthday because I get grumpy and mean, not a happy camper. For some reason, on this 60th birthday this morning, I got up happier than I've ever been in my life. It's locked in my head that 60 is the new 40. And, I mean, have a great, I feel like I'm 40 years old again with 20 more years experience. So I'm playing on the house's money. So I don't know why. I don't know why I feel like that, but I did. In fact, I called John Edwards and told Lori over there, okay, finally put some pepper back in my blue hair, and she did. So that's how bad things are getting. But since we last met, a lot of things have happened. And Julie, if you can stick around for a little while, I'd appreciate that. Yes, you will stick around for a little while. We did have another form of Coffee with Casey, which had like 22,000 views. It was the financial edition. And in that financial edition, we had Tom Clark on here, who's a financial advisor. And we spoke, because we deal a lot with people, you know, whose parents are 80 and 90. We're coming to that, how do we resolve the family estate? There's a lot of issues with mental health and dementia and Alzheimer's, and when, you know, how do you correspond, or who's the contact person? What's the fiduciary responsibilities of the contact person? We will keep that up. That was hugely successful. And we also talked about the premium that people pay, the elderly pay for where they're living. Just a quick example. People obviously don't want to leave their home. They've lived in there for 30 or 40 or 50 years, but they're paying a massive premium to do so. The example we gave was somebody that was in McLean Hamlet, and he's really living in his house was a $1.2 million house, but it was really a $500,000 house. It just had $700,000 worth of premium that he was paying to be in the big school district, to be in close to DC, to be close to the major employment centers, Metro. So he was paying a premium to be in that house, and we talked about, what's the solution? You can't force anybody to do anything, but if you show them the alternative of, this is what you can, even if it's a beautiful condominium or apartment in Tyson's or something like that, if you show them, or in Haymarket, show them you can live the same way you're living now and take the $700,000, put it in whatever income things that you need to live on. So we did all sorts of that. Tom was great. And if you go to CaseySamson.com, Julie has on CaseySamson.com all of our Coffee with Casey's. I think it's the final edition that we just did. That's good. So today's show is about what's hot. But it's not about what you think is hot. It's not about what we said was hot, okay? I know that we've been putting out, we took our team to Image Flooring, Kitchens and Baths, and because I felt it was important that we know up to date what is hot in kitchens, what's hot in cabinets, what's hot in countertops, what's hot in bathrooms, what kind of flooring is the best flooring, what can we advise our clients to do. And it's really, things are changing. And, in 2005, 1990 to 2005, the builders were putting in a lot of gold everywhere, gold bathrooms, gold knobs, gold hardware, gold everything, doorknobs. And that dates a house, because anything that was built in 2006, 7, and beyond all comes out in a brushed nickel or stainless steel, chrome or something like that.
Yep.
So, a lot of times we'll go into a house and it just feels old and it's dated by the hardware that's in there. Well, there's other things that are going on now. For the longest time, we've had granite in our kitchen tops. But now you're looking at the new homes, and now they're using quartz. And now the cabinets have gone from a cherry wood or a nice deep stained wood to
white shaker.
White shaker. So you're looking at white shaker. But I don't want to talk about all that yet. I don't want to talk about any of that yet.
Okay.
Something's hotter than that. In a professional way, something's hotter than that.
Well, what about the floors?
We'll talk about the floors. We're going to talk about all that stuff later. But this is what I think is really hot, and that is every year since I've been with Julie, which really kind of turns everything around on this team, she's been tasked with making last year's team obsolete. She's been tasked with saying, whatever we do in 2018 is just got to blow away 2017. And 2017 just blew away 2016. And examples are, one year we came out and it was the use of social media. And the next year we came out and it was not just, a better presentation of the listings online, but it was boosting them, it was using geofencing, it was targeting our buyers. I mean, we pulled professional couples out of Capitol Hill to buy houses that were specifically targeted for people like that. So last year was a huge success. And this year, Julie has outdone herself, and Michelle, who's working with her as well, has really outdone herself now. I mean, the new listing presentations that we have, the way your homes are presented online, are so far superior to anything we've had to date that, what I did was, unbeknownst to Julie, at 2 o'clock this morning, I linked up some of our newer listings and the newer listing presentations of what your listing is going to look like when a buyer clicks on it. What's it going to look like? And it is, it's pretty damn cool. So when you go to our seller section at caseysamson.com and click on the seller, go to where it says sellers, and then right below it you'll see a sample listing. Click on that. Now, not only have we done the new listing presentations, but half of the people that come into our houses
in Vienna,
and let's take Vienna as a subject.
Right.
They come from, if they're on one side of Vienna, they come from
DC.
They come from DC, Alexandria, and they come down the Dulles Toll Road corridor. And then on the other side of Vienna, they all come down 66, which basically leads into the Arlington corridor, okay? So a lot of them are coming into town, and they're coming in for schools, but what they really don't realize is that every community is unique. So Julie and Michelle have created community pages. Look the same as our listings, so a person can go down and scan through all this cool stuff, great pictures, great videos, great explanations, hot sheets of a property, but then they click onto the community that they would be moving into, and all the cool aspects: where to eat, transportation, employment centers, day trips, all the cool things that would be a Vienna, an Oak Hill, a Centerville, a Fairfax, a Westfield. We've been commissioned to do a school district at Westfield that, somebody wants us to do a Westfield one, which we will do. And I mean, big pride thing there. They've got a lot of state championships, but the school is a wonderful place, and so we'll be doing a special one. So when somebody moves into a house in the Westfield School District, or we list a house in the Westwood School District, it will click right through to the Westfield community page. So these community pages are even newer than the new listings that are coming out that Julie has done, and it really is, so in a professional way, the hottest thing of the hot is what Julie has done with this year's listing presentations, and in conjunction with Michelle on doing our community pages, it is pretty much the hottest thing going. So you can see that on caseysamson.com. Go to the seller section, look at sample listings. You can see intro to the Casey Samson team if you want to know more about us on the Our Story side. But, and then the community page. And I recommend people go look at it, because we're going to have one of these for all the communities we sell in, is attached to that sample listing you'll see on there. Plus, if you look at examples of how this is working, we're rolling a ton of listings out right now. If you go down that page under the Twitter feeds, you'll see active listings. The first two, Shady Drive, I think I saw Pullman last night. Pullman's got it too, right? Pullman's got one of those listings too. So click on those two and you'll see exactly what a live listing looks like. Of course, Pullman's under contract. Shady's going to get ready to go under contract. So, that's really what's hot. I mean, that is so far superior. Now, when you couple the new listings the new formats, the new displays of these listings with a community page. Then you use geofencing and social media and you go outbound to target your clients. That's a pretty powerful thing. So, this is not, I think the first one I ever did was said, it's not your parents' real estate market anymore. And this pretty much, when Julie came out with this, knocked me on my ass too. So that's some pretty good stuff. So I think we will get down to the listings. But the other thing we have, Billy and I are going to have a house coming out that I'm going to call this the perfect house. Now, this is not for anybody. This is for the head of the Carlisle Group. I'll call Dan Dianello and say, hey, I got your house. But it is for that 1.8, 1.9 million. But it is absolutely the most perfect house. Now, people aren't going to be able to get into it. It's not something that we're going to ever do an open house on. It'll be, it'll be appointment only. But when Julie puts this online, and you can see that Spark page for this house, it's going to be pretty damn incredible. And you're going to see it's just the most perfect house I've ever walked in my life. And that includes the lot and everything else. So here's what we're going to do. And this is the first Julie has heard about this. So I'll tell her about it now. Because things sell pretty fast, okay, we have stacked up through the middle of March, the end of March, maybe 20 or 30 listings. So what we're going to prepare is we're going to prepare a hot sheet of what's coming out, and just on ours, what's coming. Vienna, 725, what school district is it? What are the predominant things about this house? Billy and I just got word we're going to list one in
Off Abbotsford.
Vienna, off Abbotsford, in Eudora. It's a phenomenal house. I mean, the guys put so much money into this house. There are some listings we really want to get, and this clearly was one of them. So last night he said, okay, we're going to go with you guys. And we'll have that on the market, and we'll talk to him about when and where. But I want everybody to see that before it even comes out. I want you to be ready for it so it doesn't hit you on a Thursday and everybody's running around like chickens with their heads cut off. But I want to have a hot sheet that you can go to on our site. Does that make sense, Julie? We can just say, hey, here are the houses. Here's their projected launch dates. Here's the defining characteristics. No pictures, no addresses, none of that stuff. But this kind of, if you're looking for, and we also have the perfect house coming up in Franklin Farms. This guy spent $185,000, guy and his wife. This couple spent $185,000 on this house. Updating, travertine patios, big stone fireplaces, big huge lot. So that is one that will gather 5, 6, or 7 contracts. So I want to make sure that our people, us, have a good idea what's coming out so you can be ready for it. We'll also, Julie, if you can put the alt agent, whoever's going to be the alt agent on that with their contact information. So if somebody sees Vienna, 725, 4.5 bedrooms, blah, 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 just a little spreadsheet, they can contact either Billy, Kelly, Pat, or whatever. Okay? That's the good stuff.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Isn't that a good idea?
It's a great idea.
Let me tell you something. So here again, now that I've turned 60 and I got smart, instead of fighting, go back to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, I get up, I do most productive work between 2 and 3:30, and go back to bed. And these are some of the things I'm coming up with.
Well, that's why I told you that, or I sent you that email. I don't know if you got it yesterday on some pricing stuff. And I told you whenever you're up late night.
Yeah. It's my late night work.
Yeah, it'll give you some something to test.
The cool thing about it is at night at 2 o'clock in the morning, there's no phone calls, no emails, no texts. You can sit down, really relax, put together what's happened from the day gone by, and get back to sleep, and it doesn't kill me. So that's basically a couple of the new things that are hot. Now let's go to what started this, of us going to Image Flooring and looking at some of these things. But before I say that, let me just say, Sam Miesla does our, when we have a real problem, when we bring in Sam and he's redone houses for us, so for God's sakes, we are not abandoning our guy Sam. Neither should any Samson Properties agent. Sam does great work. He's in, he's out, he gets it done. He waits for settlement to get paid. He has helped so many of our sellers and us.
And us.
Oh my gosh. he does some great work. So by all means, just because I'm talking about image and flooring doesn't mean I say abandon Sam. So it's Sam Meisler here at Samson Properties. And you can see him any night at Pazzo's.
Yeah, that's right. I see him.
Corner.
I see him up there.
With his
See him up there tonight.
With his lovely bride. We will see him there tonight. So we go to Image Flooring because they have a warehouse, or not a warehouse, but they have a showroom.
It was an educational trip.
Yeah. It's right there in Oakton. It's next to Luciano's, right?
Yep.
No. Yeah.
Around the corner.
Same thing, around the corner from Luciano's. But Dimitri and James know what they're talking about, okay? You need flooring done. You need, and again, let's go back to the beginning where we said, the 2005 and below, 1995, a woman walking in a house, and the women are usually the buyers. Husband's just trying to, whatever.
Make her happy.
Make her happy. Happy wife, happy life. So, but you can't look at your house and say, it looks good to me. And you're 60 or 70, you've been in it for 30 years, and you've got a 32-year-old or a 34 or 40-year-old wife walking in there who's lived in really nice apartment, townhouse, home in Arlington. Now they want to come into, they want to move out and get another property. You've got to respect the fact that they are not looking at that kind of paint or that kind of, some of the things in this house that, that what they're looking for. I'm not talking about a total renovation, but I am talking about the most simple thing you can do, which is paint, which is some flooring. I walked into one house and there were 7 different kinds of flooring you could identify on this level. And yeah, it may cost $10,000 or $12,000 to do, but it brings in $25,000 to $40,000 worth of additional value to your house. So we never give any advice unless it's going to really pour some money, into the house. That's why we come in 3, 4, 5 months before people are thinking about selling their house to give them advice on, this is a Sam deal. This may be a James and Dimitri thing. You need to go and talk to them or go look at some samples if you're going to do, update some bathrooms, update a little kitchen, whether it's a facelift or a renovation. The flooring is important, Canadian flooring, right?
Right.
They seem to think that the Canadian flooring is the best flooring you can get right now. So we always have to, when we're getting a house ready, and this is something, we run into a lot. A seller will tell us how well built or how sturdy the walls are. That's just not today's buyers. I mean, today's buyers are really interested in space, feature, function, convenience. They don't want to turn a wrench. They don't want to turn a screwdriver. They want a move-in ready house. They want it big enough for their furniture and kids. The quality of construction and things like that an older generation may really taken a great pride in, sometimes it's just is not there today. So we want to make sure the house is in good condition. Let's not go overboard when we're trying to get ready for a house. Okay, yeah. So we did. So the shaker cabinets, the things, the hardwood flooring, they've gone a long way with the pre-stained flooring as opposed to stain on site. Although I still love stain on site flooring, but it is an alternative that if you're putting down some flooring to sell a house or something.
Even
like
some
that.
manufactured.
Yeah.
Woods or whatever they were talking about with it doesn't. The natural floor is is always great, but the manufactured flooring has come a long way. So
yeah. And I guess here's what you need to do. If you're going to spend $1, whether it's on a realtor or whether it's on flooring or cabinets or bathrooms or kitchens, you first need to get educated on what you're going to do. When we have buyers looking for houses, you got to go through an education period before you can do a buy, because you're going to know what you're looking for, what you're buying, what the prices are, what you can expect. So there's got to be an education process. This was why I think those kitchens and flooring, a showroom like that was good, because we couldn't take notes fast enough. They were shooting out statistics on us that was, our job is to get you in the hands of a professional.
Right.
Now, whether we use Sam to get something done, get a whole house done, or you bring in, you go to Imogen Flooring and talk to James and Dimitri, your choice. And we encourage people to call 2 realtors.
Right.
Call 2 or 3. Call 2 or 3. And then when people get a look at our presentation and what we're doing and how we're doing it, and then the community pages, it becomes clear. And then how we market it, social media and geofencing, and then track records of $100 million in a year, and selling at 100.1% of what you listed it for. So, yeah, by all means, call other realtors, bring them in there, and talk to them, and go talk to more than one flooring person or kitchen person. Gotcha. So, anyways, this is called shopping. and let me say another thing before I get into some of this other stuff. I need a little shot of coffee before I do this one. The conversation comes up, and I'm going to shut this one down. Conversation comes up about commissions and how much you pay and blah, 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 blah. Well, let me tell you. My daughter buys all her diapers on Amazon. My wife buys her whatever. She buys freaking paper towels not paper towels, what do you call it, roll of towels? Roll of towels? Yeah. Julie, stop talking. Paper towels? Yeah, big rolls of paper towels and all that stuff. She's buying all that on Amazon. These guys, you have to compete right now. It is price, quality, and service. So you've got to compete with price, quality, and service. It is not 1965 anymore. Everybody's not charging 6%. Now, who really deserves that? I want to get into this conversation a little bit. Who really deserves 6%? A new agent sitting at a Long & Foster desk because they work at Long & Foster and they should get 6%? No, because they don't have the experience or the expertise. Who should get it? If an agent that's been working for 30 years and has been nurturing their client base for 30 years, and a family has gone back to them every time now for the last 30 years, and they charge 6%, should they charge 6%? Absolutely. Is it worth it? Absolutely. They put in 30 years. This family trusts them. They've earned their trust. They've done a lot of business with them before. Charge 6%. No problem. If one person really nurtures their sphere of influence and works with them and services them and gives them information and they want to use that person, that's what they charge, but that's who they feel comfortable with, fine, do 6%. But for the, should somebody not have a realtor they use like that, it is a 4.5% world. And I don't care what anybody says, and a lot of people at Samson even do 6%. That's cool with them. I don't mind. And some people should. I just gave you who should, but some agents should not, and we don't. I mean, our model. I came back to Samson Properties because Danny had a model as 4.5%. He wasn't charging the commissions, and the agents were able to pass that on to the sellers. And I thought that was a pretty good deal, and the volume was very big, and it was a win-win for the sellers, a win-win for the agents. So that's when I came back. So there are a lot of different models out there, but I will credit my brother that 4.5% full service, do more than everybody else, and do the 4.5% works. So people can charge 6 all they want, but they shouldn't walk up against our team, or it's not going to end well for them. So, it's what is the service, what is the cost, what is the product that you get. So, anyways, let's talk about spring.
Okay, let's talk about the spring.
Let's talk about the spring. So the spring has busted loose. The real estate spring starts on February the 15th. And we do bring out houses in January, but it really heats up and gets going. Why? Why is February the #1 month? Okay? Well, February is the #1 month because you have all this pent-up demand from December, actually November, December, January. There's no inventory. And people are coming out now, and the houses are coming out, and as soon as they do, I think we listed 4 this weekend, all 4 under contract, 3 under contract, 1 is getting contracts in now. So the success rate in February is very big because there's a big demand of buyers. There's a very low inventory. However, do not overprice your houses. There is a price for every house, and you need to know it. And you can't say, well, this house is worth $825, And the seller says, well, I want 900. It's like, well, how about 875? No, your house is worth 825. That's what it's going to appraise at. That's what it's worth. Put it on at 825. Now, buyers may bid that house
Push
up.
It over 825, right?
Get me 4 or 5 buyers excited about a house, and I will get them to bid that up. And they will bid it up over the appraised value. But should you put it on too high, those buyers will not come.
Buyers are still smart.
They're smart. I had one at 460. I said the house was worth 435. That's what I said it was worth, 435. Seller had to have 460. So it was on for 460. Crickets. How bad could it be? It's $25,000 over market value. So crickets. They're mad at me. Crickets. They're mad at me. And I'm like, hey.
I told you.
It's 435. That's your number. So anyways, we get it to 435. It sells within 4 days. It's all done and it's all over. But the example that I'm giving you that for is it's an efficient market. Buyers are not stupid. Buyers are very smart. So what you need to do is get it at the accurate number. And I give seminars on how to do pricing houses. There's multiple ways of getting to that number, but you got to get to that number. So even though buyers are here and inventory is here, you still can't overcharge on houses. We had 50 people walk through a house. They still heard crickets. The reason for that, heard crickets means no contracts, no people coming after it. It's just because it's overpriced. And I'm getting too old for this crap. So people don't want to list it anywhere close, then we're going to have to take a pass. And we do take a pass.
Give them an agent that will put it on at that price.
It just doesn't do a seller any good because, we've seen this movie. We know how it ends, the drop and the drop and the drop. If you have a house on the market in today's market and you have not received a contract within 7 days of dropping that price to where it should be or launching the listing, you have a pricing problem. You just have a pricing problem. And the buyers are going to stand by and they're just going to wait and wait. And they'll wait for something to happen. So they are anxious but not stupid. So yeah, that's a good thing. Buyers are anxious but not stupid, okay? But let me tell you something. When you get 2 buyers or 3 buyers bidding on something, fear drives them to push that price up. And it's real simple for me to say, it may be $825 today, but it's going to be $840 in about a month. I mean, that's the way they're driving these markets into the spring. So, they will come up with that $840 or $850 price, and that's the way we kind of boost it up, okay? Price of where it should be, let them boost that up. So, we've got interest rates going up right now. What they've gone up probably 3/4 of a point or a point, right?
Yeah, they were last week. I can check on it.
But I think that interest rates have gone up a point. The Fed has just made an announcement. They are going to continue to push the short-term rates up. That does push the bonds. So we are seeing more interest rates go up, and that puts more anxiety on these buyers. So, the people who are thinking of selling, we're trying to get them on as soon as they can to take advantage of this buying frenzy. As this happens, as we move on with the spring, every time we come to this meeting, we need to check the pulse and say, how's the inventory look? Because in 2015, we got to May and the inventory went like this and the buyer pool went like that. Before you know it, we had 15 houses on the market for every one that was under contract. So it's just because it's like that today doesn't mean it's going to be like that in 2 or 3 months. So that's why some people think about putting their house on in May and June, and I'm trying to get them more into March and April. Okay? That makes sense?
Yep.
So we'll talk about, you got interest rates. Interest rates are, basically in the financial edition, what I'll have is I'll have Mike Filan, who is our lender that handles our team. He works with First Heritage. Have him come on, and we'll have a chart that says, here's your buying power at 3.5%. Here's your buying power at 4%. Here's your buying power at 4.5%. So every time the interest rates go up 0.5 point, your buying power goes down by probably $35,000 and $50,000. I'm just pulling that out, but I think that's pretty much what it is. But he'll tell you the dollar amount that your buying power goes down. So if you, which is tough because let's say Leslie, the lovely Leslie over here, goes out to buy a house. She's going to say, well, I want to buy a $350,000 house. Well, guess what? She's going to find houses that are $375,000, $395,000. That's what she wants. She can afford one, but she wants it. It always happens, whether it's $1.5 million or 350 or 700. It doesn't matter. Whatever you think you're going to pay for that house, you end up seeing the house $25,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 more and wanting it. Well, if your buying power is starting to go down, then you can buy less house. Now you're in a little bit more of a quandary. Now you can't even buy the 350. Now you're 335. So that's why now is a time for people to kind of get out there and get rolling. Get pre-qualified first before you go out and do any of that. But that brings me to now what? Interest rates go up, now what? Okay? I've lived, old guy, not as blue as it used to be, but still gray.
Not as blue as it used to be.
When interest rates do rise a little bit, then you turn to a 7-year ARM or a 10-year ARM to bring the rates down, get the rates down a little bit. I will guarantee you that probably 75% of the people that get a 30-year fixed mortgage refinance it within 3 to 5 years.
Or they don't live in it for 30 years.
Or they don't live in it for 30 years.
Even the 15-15 ARM that Mike was talking about last week.
Yeah.
You know, that's good for even first-time buyers that are not, you know, they're going to live in a townhouse for 3 to 5 years. Why pay the 30-year fixed rate whenever you can get a 15-15 for, what do you say, like a half a point?
Half a point less. So let's say it's 4.5% is your interest rate. And let's say your payment is, you know, $3,200 a month. Well, if you do a 15-year fixed rate, when he said 15-15.
Yeah, I think it was a 15-15. So it's a 15, for 15 years you have the rate and then it refinances
at 15. At the 15 at the turn. Yep. Well, nobody's going to be there in 15. Okay? So you need to know who you are. If I'm going to buy a house, first of all, let's talk about who should be buying real quick. You know, if I'm only going to be here for 3 years, should I buy a house? When I sell my big house and I'm going to go to South Carolina, should I buy a house? And the answer to some of it is not always yes. It's not always let's go buy a house. You know, I have a couple of guys that are close to our family, and they're going to, you know, they're going to be in the service, and maybe they're stationed here for a couple of years. You know, not here, but somewhere else for a couple of years. Should they buy in that market? Well, you know, it costs a lot of money to sell a house. So if you're going to buy something, you need to be in that for a good. You need to know your roots are down. You're going to be there for, you know, 5, 6, 8, 10 years, or at least in that area for that period of time. So we see a lot of buyers, sellers, 60-something, 70-something. They're getting out of this area. They're going to go to South Carolina, go to Charleston, go buy their retirement place. But they rent for the first year or two while they're getting, first of all, do I like Charleston?
Yeah, do you like it? Right.
Why don't you live through just one summer of Charleston, see if that works for you. And I know it feels good in March and April, but, you know, you need to test the market you're going to buy in before you do it. That's why, by the way, one of the first places that we go to when we put a house on the market is the renters within a 2-mile or the school district of which they're in. People in this area come in, they rent first, look around, and let me tell you something, that's where your buyer pool is. So don't tell anybody. But the first thing we do before we go out geofencing and social media and hitting our carders and doing all this stuff is we make sure we go old school with a card inviting them to the open house of all the renters within that school district of that area. Pretty much that's where, you know, you're going to get your buyers from. And there are some areas like Gainesville, we do Dominion Valley out there. If you're going to get a seller in Dominion Valley, believe it or not, they already live in Dominion Valley.
The buyers are there.
So they're going from smaller houses to bigger houses, or from bigger houses to smaller houses, but they really love that community. They love the community center. They love the whole thing. Piedmont is the same way. So there are some places where you look internally for your buyers, not externally for your buyers. So, but, you know, a school district where somebody's renting, that's money. So we send out hundreds and hundreds of cards for every listing we have. First, let's try and get the renters, which Scarab right around the corner from St. Boniface, that we're going to put that house on the market.
Right.
on Scarab, they were just renting a house in the immediate area. So they got the car, they showed up at the open house, bam, they bought it because they wanted to stay in that Wolf Trap School District. So that's pretty important stuff. So, all right. So now let's talk about one thing came up. I like to bring up things that come up in listings, that I'm doing. Is, a seller told me that well, that's not what they heard, and this was a conversation between brokers opens and open houses. Okay, so our advice is open houses work. Not the big one. That perfect house, 1.8, nobody's going to get in that house. So that's just going to be appointment only. But I mean, for most houses, even bigger houses. I mean, I sold a $2.15 million house that had been on the market with, super agent in McLean for a year, and then super agent number 2 in McLean for a year, and then I took it and I sold it at the open house to a couple because we're the best salesmen that they have. I mean, we sell things at open houses. Billy and I can talk about the story from hitting the 3-point shot at the buzzer from, 5,200 miles away just because we do open houses. So open houses, will bring in 30 people. Now, 4 of them are real buyers, and 8 of them are neighbors, and 12 of them have nothing better to do with a Sunday afternoon than go around and look at houses, which is fine. I mean, that's fine. And but our agents are trained to pick off those 4, 5, 6 real buyers and really get comments back from them, because this is our eyes and ears to the seller. First of all, how much traffic did we get in? Because we're trying to figure out, did we hit the right price? Every house is unique. Pricing is tough. Did we hit the right price? 30 people through, that at least got everybody in the door. Then what were the comments from the buyers? What were their objections that they had? Because we need to make sure if it's an objection we can fix or we can address, then we need to get all over that. If it's no objections, it's just a matter of they just started looking, then we know that we just need to be patient. But we have to give sellers advice on what to do, or maybe Julie adjusts our marketing strategy, or where does everybody come from? Are they coming, we anticipate on the north side they're coming from Arlington and DC and Alexandria. Where did everybody come from? We need to get that kind of feedback. So the open houses, a broker will tell a seller that open houses don't work, and I'll tell you why. Do you want to handle this one?
No, I think you got it.
You think I got it?
You seem charged up over it, so I'll let you take it.
Because they don't want to do open houses. Because they don't want to work on Sundays. They don't. And I am telling you that the facts are we have sold more houses at open houses. Kelly one year sold 9 houses at open houses. And the reason she sells them is because she knows the house better than the other agents do. I'll go back and I'll tell this quick story that we had a seller, and this is a big house. This is a $1.5 million house, and they had to sell that house. They had no choice. This was not a, oh, by the way, we need this house sold now. The job had already been taken. Husband's moving out. Oh my gosh, we're in crisis mode. And the average time on the market for one of these is about 150 days. And we had 20. So we're doing open house, We finally get a buyer. We get the buyer, we secure it in, everybody's happy, we high-five everyone. I have a planned trip to Greece, out I go to Greece. Sure enough, I get a email in Santorini that during breakfast that the buyers are leaving. They're not going to go through with the contract because the town won't let them put on a parking pad. So now what do? Well, we quickly finish breakfast, then call the people that I met at the open house to see if anyone were really interested in it or really disappointed that it went under contract. And sure enough, we found somebody that was disappointed it went under contract. We whipped them over to Billy. Billy gets the contract done. Billy does the inspections. Billy does all this stuff. And they settle on the property at that date, at that price, at that time, with no hitches, no problems. And so we call that the 3-point shot at the buzzer from 5,200 miles away. And that was done because of we did an open house. So now, Brokers Opens, Verse Brokers Opens. I work for Coldwell Banker, and I broke into Coldwell Banker because I actually was not real bright back then. I thought I was getting into commercial real estate, and I was really into residential real estate. So I'm in an office, a lot of coffee drinkers. We went out on tours of everybody's listing. These are basically agents that do very little business. There was a woman called Helen Tootin, and Helen Tootin was the stud of that office. She did more business than anybody. I've never seen anybody work harder than Helen Tootin. Helen Tootin never went on a tour of properties, the office tour. And what happens at the Brokers Opens is somebody will cater them, and they'll have basins, or they'll have sandwiches, or they'll have all this stuff. And basically that's to appease a seller and let them know they're bringing the brokers in. In reality, the brokers that show up, or the agents that show up, are not agents that are your potential selling agents of that property. Those people are busy. They're out looking at properties that are specific to the needs of their buyers. I do not have time to drive around for 3 hours and look at properties I have absolutely nothing to do with or I'm not interested in. If I have a buyer for the property, I'll see it. If I'm interested in it, I'll see it. If my buyer sees it, and again, buyers will get things from MRIS as soon as it's listed. They get it.
Even if we have a seller where we're in between on pricing, a lot of times we'll go around to the competing listings. If we're in between a 1.25 and 1.2, well, let's go look at the 1.25s and see if you stack up against that 1.25.
Exactly right.
Those active listings that are out there, or even the ones that that we've sold in the past. We can show pictures and whatnot. But yeah.
So if there's got to be a reason why I'm going to take my time and go into a house and look at that house. And I'm not talking about me as in Casey Samson. I'm talking about me as in a producing broker that's doing 15 million or 20 or 50 or whatever it is. Plus, the agents are busy, man. I mean, if they're really good agents, they're really busy, and they just don't have time for that stuff. So with that said, how do we get to agents and brokers that are the top producers? So now let's go back again to Julie. I don't have time to look at houses. I really don't have time to go out and do a lot of this stuff, anything. But if I am a top producer, and in my email I have one that gives me the specifics of what this property is worth, of which we do have lists of all the top producers, and we can email all of them. And you look at that and say, I do need a 1.5 or a 1.8, and I do need an executive house, or I do need a 725 in Oak. And they click that button and they look at that house, they're going to see fusion photography, they're going to see well presented, it all looks great, it looks beautiful, they're going to see a click through of this is the community you're going to live in, whether it's Oak Hill or Vienna, and they see all this presentation and all they do is this, forward. Mary, what do you think about this one?
Right.
There it is. So, that is an efficient way of marketing to the top producing agents, because they're sitting in their office, they're looking on their computers, they're doing this or doing that, or they're with clients. So their time is limited. So we want to make sure that we package it up perfectly, we get it in front of their face, we make sure that it's an entertaining, well done, professionally produced piece, and it's cool. And they can just forward it right over. Now, if their buyers haven't already seen it, now we've got top producer going right to it. But to be honest with you guys, in today's world, the buyers are going to see it before the brokers do. The buyers see the properties more than the brokers do. A broker may have 7 or 8 clients, 10 clients, 15 clients. But a buyer has one client. They are their only client. And I will tell you that a buyer will look on the internet, or look on Zillow, or look on wherever they're looking. They will look online for their house 20 times more than a realtor will look for a house online. And that's just the way it is today. The buyers have been empowered, right?
Right.
I mean, the buyers are, look, you guys, you're the millennials, you guys are, Julie can't get off her name. She's on it the whole time, right?
Yeah.
But that's just the way people are, and that's the way they find houses, and that's the way they buy paper towels, and that's the way they buy things on that. Say what?
I'm live tweeting. That's why.
Oh, you're live tweeting. Are you really live tweeting?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Gosh darn it. When we do this, you've got to tell me to tell people to share this. So
go on there and share it.
if you're watching this on Facebook, I want you to look at the lower right-hand thing. I want you to share it to your friends and family and people like that. Because here's why. Let me tell you why, okay? I got 10 good years left in me. And like I said, I'm 40 again after turning 60. So this is really information that you and your friends or people that are in real estate can actually use. I don't care whether you use our team or not, but the information that we're giving you is powerful information that you can use, because in real estate, if you make a mistake, it ain't $5,000. It's $50,000. It's really expensive. You can make a huge mistake in real estate, and so go to your bottom, hit the share button, send this out to your friends and family. It could make or save them a lot of money. I've got the financial edition, which if you have, who's the financial edition for? Not necessarily the millennials. It's basically for
Well, it could be for the millennials.
Yeah, I guess.
Educating them on their parents moving, out of the family home into the next step, whether that is
I keep waiting
out
for my
west
kids.
or down
Keep waiting for
south.
my kids to go, hey, Daddy, want to go buy my car? We keep laughing about that. Before you know it, I'm in a nursing home somewhere. But I'm not going lightly.
It's for both. I mean, it's for the millennials and the older,
It's for,
generation.
other things we talked about. We talked about the psyche of the older sellers and grandma and grandpa or mom and dad. And, how you can't push them out of their house, how you have to show them the alternatives of what it is. That the financial edition is pretty powerful. And the 50s have the 50-somethings have 80-somethings, and they become healthcare providers, or they become financial care providers, where they're now in charge of their finances and how they do that. And that whole process is a complicated one, with powers of attorney and letters that you need to sign so they can communicate. And I can just say it's heartbreaking when a friend of mine goes through this, and he's going through some early onset Alzheimer's and things like that. And, there's just some not good things going on. And you need to prepare for stuff like that. You need to prepare for long-term care. There's a lot of things you need to do. And I know that we're young and fun and all this other stuff. Get that, young and fun. But you really, you might want to just take a peek at that financial edition. Watch the Tom Clark stuff that I'm doing. We will be on again with him within 2 weeks. I don't know if we scheduled something, but I'll have to get some energy up for that one. I did that after my 60th birthday party, and that was, I don't know how.
Yeah, the morning after.
Yeah. How's that?
A rough one.
How's that for rallying? My first morning as a 6-year-old, I rallied the next morning after the party. So anyways, that's we'll give an announcement for the financial edition. Okay. How much time do we have left? Where are we at? 10:20. So I'm doing pretty good. Okay. And I don't really have that much more this morning. Do you have anything on your Twitter feed or questions that have come out from anybody? We did get a what?
Yay.
So anyways, that's what we've got for today. I really want to thank, because I'll tell you, as the spring comes in, the effort that's really being done by Billy, dealing with multiple sellers and buyers. Pat does an incredible job. My brother does just a phenomenal job. And again, it's hard, man. It's not easy. You're out there competing with everybody for buyers. You're out there competing with buyers trying to get houses. It's pretty tough. My lovely daughter Kelly is out there. She's working her tail off too. We're lucky enough to have Pam Mooney and Shayna, and I'm not even going to pronounce her last name. It's Ignatowski or something like that. I refuse to try. But they did a great job. In fact, I'm getting to him, but first I'm trying to pronounce her name. In fact, Pam, Ignatowski?
Oh my gosh, Tina, I hope I didn't mess it up.
That was on Julie, man. That wasn't on me. But they did such a great job. They had 2 houses this weekend, got them both under contract, both over list, did a great job with theirs. And here's another thing, we wrestle with every day. And let me give you an example. So one of their listings, The older clients that we deal with are tough because older clients tend to be very set in their ways, and that's not easy. And the other thing that's very difficult to deal with is sometimes we're involved with divorce cases, and there's a lot of other things going on. It's tough enough when you've got emotional baggage in a house, and you're emotionally attached to this house, and you're financially attached to this house. It's hard. I mean, it's hard. And then you throw in a divorce. Oh my God, it's so hard. So what happens is there's we'll give advice on pricing, and somebody will hold out for a higher price or whatever. And one will hold out for a higher price. And what that does is it drags everybody into a longer turmoil listing period. One buyer, fight over the price, fight over the home inspection, and now you come in and you're at the mercy of the buyers. So now you're at the mercy of the buyers, and we have a conflict. We're shooting bullets in in our own foxhole.
Right.
So I really implore anybody that's having to go through with any kind of a divorce situation, both of you sit down, meet with a realtor that you trust, put it in their hands to price it right and guide you through, and just take their advice, because we're not leaning to a husband, we're not leaning to a wife. We usually come in and know neither of the two. You just really have to say, look, we're going to do this the easiest way in the best interest of everybody with as little frustration, because life is short, man. And when you overprice, you find yourself in a home inspection and you've only got one buyer. And baby, when you got one buyer, it's a problem. And we came, Sam Misa's brother, we listed his house, and he was smart enough to price it where it should be. And we had multiple buyers, and he had 115 items on his home inspection list. 115. So, I looked at the agent, I was like, well, how many of these do you want us to fix? And they said, we want them all fixed. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do 3 of them. We're going to do this, this, and this, because they're clearly broke, and we're going to fix them. Well, we ain't doing the other 112 or whatever. And if you don't like it, I'm going to backup contract number 2 or 3. And Billy will tell you, we do that every day. And the first words out of his mouth were, you mean you're going to do the 3? It's like, yeah, we'll do the 3. It's like, okay, we'll take it. So that is doing it the easy way or doing it the hard way. So let's just do it the easy way. Let's get out of this alive. Let's put the and so that's dealing with the divorce case. I want to really, ask that the couple just put their faith in somebody. It may not be me. It may be somebody else. Get a realtor you both trust and listen to them and say, yeah, we both trust this guy. Then take your hands off the wheel and let them do what they need to do. They'll do it in your best interest. The other thing, when we're dealing with elderly parents, please, 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 please. Elderly parents don't want to deal with internet, Facebook, text, email. In fact, that is the antichrist for most of them, that they not only they hate it, and they think it's passed them by and blah, blah, whatever reason. You will always need, and for the Samson agents that listen to this too, when you're dealing with an elderly client, always make sure you have one of the kids, whoever's going to represent them, as the financial caretaker. So again, let's go back to Tom Clark's thing. You have a health caretaker, and then you have a financial caretaker. So somebody in that family has to be responsible for the finances of mom and dad. Things can happen really quick. Falls can happen really quick. Things happen fast. So somebody needs to be a financial caretaker. So at this point forward, when we go into an older couple and we're sitting down, we need to make sure that the financial caretaker is present at that time.
And even a decision maker.
Yep.
A lot of times the elderly couples will say, well, my son says this or that. Okay, we'll have him in the room so we can talk to him as well. So we can hear what he thinks, and we can talk to him about what we think, as opposed to us telling the parents, and then the parents telling him, and then you just get everyone on the same page.
We have to be on the same page.
In the same room, all in a loop, so everyone's on the same page.
Because here's what are the worst words you can ever hear. But you said,
right.
I don't say anything. I write down everything. Everything we say is in writing. All pricing recommendations, counter recommendations, things you need to do to the house. Everything we do is in writing. Now, if they don't like if they don't like text and they don't like emails, which is how we communicate, then we have a problem. Then we turn into, but you said,
I said, right.
Now, my memory is not that good, but their memory is worse. And so when you hear what you think you heard or what you wanted to hear, you may not have heard that. So, what we always go back to, anytime there's stop.
Let's go back
Let's
to
go
what we
back
wrote.
to the emails and here's exactly what my pricing recommendation was.
Go back to the pricing model. Here's what we said.
And it really is good for everybody because a seller, when they have something and there's a question, they can go back and they can track down their email trace. Say, oh, okay, I got it. I see what we're supposed to do.
Right.
Because we literally produce, again, Julie produces a launch protocol of everything we're going to do as we do it in this entertaining, spark page, beautiful presentation. Everything we're going to do during the list, everything. This is how we negotiate contracts. This is how we do this. Then there's a document, same thing. I just got a contract, now what? So when you're ratified, it literally walks them through beginning to end. So basically what this is best practices of some of the top agents I've ever known, the Bernie Kagans and everyone like that. These are the best practices of the agents as we go through the whole process and how it's going to end. So, and this works people through the process. Well, the only time this process doesn't work is when somebody jumps outside of the protocol, and that's not what you said. And then we got a problem. So let's make sure that when we're dealing with elderly clients that we have the financial caretaker in on it, even if he's in on the phone conversation, even if he's in on the the parents don't have emails. Okay, well, you've got an email, so I'm going to send you every email. And you've got to communicate all of this to the seller. But to talk to a seller is sometimes counterproductive.
Right.
So we need to, you find yourself saying things 5, 6, 7 times. And again, Billy and I, let me give you a quick example of this. We had a house, and the house was worth, it's very, very difficult shape, but it's a nice neighborhood. And we said, it's going to be about $995,000, and we had $975,000, and the house would never survive a home
With
inspection.
no inspection.
No inspection.
Yeah.
$975,000 cash. No inspections, no anything. They were going to do a little soil study with a handheld thing.
Yeah.
And they
wouldn't take it, right?
And they wouldn't take it. So we just couldn't represent anymore. But the shame is that the frustration level is going to be off the charts if they go out and try and get somebody to pay $1 and then go through a home inspection, and it's going to lead to 250 home inspection items, and it's going to be a problem. I mean, I've seen elderly sellers walk away from contracts and then eventually 6 months later get $70,000 less. So we're trying to prevent a catastrophe from happening. And that's what I'm saying. In real estate, when mistakes are made, it's not $5,000. It's a big number. So we try and prevent that as much as we can. So I implore everybody, look at some of Julie's handiwork. By the way, thank you, Julie.
Thanks, Julie.
I
Michelle,
really-
Billy.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Michelle has done an incredible job with getting going on our community pages. She'll be helping Julie produce all of those. Billy, bless her heart, has been working at this job for 14, 15 years with Bernie. She was his assistant for years and years and years. This is Bernie's last month, right? The end of March. Billy's.
End of March, yes.
The end of March. Billy is retiring, so we'll have a little retirement party for her. And that's a blow. She's as professional a woman as you're ever going to meet, as professional a person as you're ever going to meet. She's handled our team well, and we wish her luck. And to all the alt agents, I really appreciate. Colby has done an incredible job. Poor Colby gets, he works so well with elderly clients, and I've kind of had him with the elderly clients. And I am telling you, this kid, he's doing a great job. But I got to give him the easiest listing of all time because he's deserved it. He really he never complains, but you know, working with elderly clients can be challenging, you know, and it really can be challenging. So of course I'm like, okay, Colby, you handle that. But he does a great job. All of them do. So Leslie, thank you for producing another Coffee with Casey.
Thanks, Leslie.
We appreciate it. We look professional because the people on our team are so professional. And I was laughing in the car because I was like, you know, the real name of this team shouldn't be the Casey Samson team. It should be the, you know, Casey, Pat, Julie, Billy, you know, Kelly, Colby. And I was like, yeah, but I don't think we can fit all that on a sign. But I mean, someday if you're driving down a street and you see a sign and it just says, the Casey, Pat, Billy, Julie team, it's because we figured out how to fit all those names on one sign. But it is a rock solid team. Everybody's been here for a while. We want to thank the people that have chosen us. We've got about 30 or 40 listings getting teed up, ready to go. So we thank the people that have chosen us to represent their house.
And then you want to reiterate again about the, we're going to put out a list of some of the coming soons with their characteristics, you know. Yeah. Not with the addresses, but yeah.
That's really important. I'm telling you, we got some badass listings coming up. I don't know if I can say badass on Facebook, but
that's not that bad.
That's not that bad.
But
to have a list of all the upcoming houses gives everyone a jump on it. And now let's talk. I just want to talk real quick about a protocol of how to buy a house through the Casey Samson team. Is it valuable to buy it through the Casey Samson team? Yes, because it's easier for us to work with our agents and other agents. It's easier because we got our lenders, our appraisers, so we feel a lot more comfortable with that. 30% of the houses do come through our agents. However, as Billy will tell you, Billy went out, he met a client, he brought in a contract, there was multiple contracts, Billy lost. Billy lost because his contract wasn't as strong as the other contract. So just because you go through an agent doesn't mean you get a break. It means tie goes to the runner in our book. So, you know, you have to still have the strongest contract if you want to win in that. So just going through one of our people doesn't. But if you look down that list and you see something you're really interested in, then call up that agent. He'll let you know what's going on. You may get some private showings beforehand. He cannot do a contract until we've done a listing, 3 days of people coming in, an open house, and then we do contracts on Monday. It's the only way we can get highest and best offers for our sellers. So it is good to go through them if there's multiple contracts, but they cannot sell a house before we've done that process. And in this market, if you put your house on the market and somebody comes in on Friday and says, I'll give you a full price, all cash, say no. Just say no. We do it all the time. When you have one buyer, you put it on and take it off. And if that buyer, for whatever reason, says, I've decided not to do that, which 25% of them do, or you can't get together on the home inspection, you have no backups. And by the way, you're not sure that the listing price that we put on there was what the price that we wanted.
Right.
Right? So, you know, we may be out at $725, but that's not what we're expecting. I think that, well, here's an example. Pam and I have one coming on in Franklin Farms. It's $725. That could go $740, $750. I mean, he has $185,000 worth of upgrades in that house. So when somebody comes out and looks at it, who knows if somebody's willing to pay a little bit more for that, you know? So the only way to determine what the highest and best offer is through competition, and that's why we do it. Okay? We cool?
Yeah.
Go to CaseySamson.com. Let's see Julie's latest work. Introduction to the Casey Samson team in the About Us section. On the seller section, look at the new way we're showing listings. On the bottom of that, if you go all the way to the bottom, you'll see the community page. The first one we're rolling out is Vienna. You can see our launch protocol. We'll also put up, we have a contract, now what? Now this was kind of developed by Donnie Sampson in conjunction with him, and we kind of tinkered with it, played with it, put it in a better, you know, a real nice presentation and online. So, you know, you can look at that as well. Whether you're our client or not, that would really be helpful for you to know when I get a contract now what the heck's going to happen.
Yep.
All right. Thank you all. Appreciate it. We will see you at Coffee with Casey Financial Edition. Look for that announcement coming soon. Thank you. Have a good day.